Everyone, I'm Lindsay Sherman, the Digital Marketing Manager for SharpSpring. I'm excited to host our first joint webinar with WordStream and happy to have you listening in because we've got some great content lined up for you. Today we'll be covering 5 tips to optimize on both sides of the click. All right, so before we get started, I just wanted to greet everyone. As far as who's in the audience, we have a great mix of marketing agencies as well as in-house marketing professionals. Some of you are using SharpSpring or WordStream, or some of you are using both. But if you're not using one or the other, then after this webinar, I hope you'll consider looking into our great solutions. As with all of our webinars, we're here to learn from our marketing peers as we share best practices. And just for some general housekeeping, if you have questions, phone lines are muted, but feel free to use the GoToWebinar chat box or tweet questions to SharpTweet or @SharpSpring. We'd love it if you live tweeted with us too using that same SharpTweet hashtag. We'll answer as many questions as we can during the webinar and follow up with unanswered questions after on a one-to-one basis. We'll also be sending the webinar recording and slides out after the webinar. And also after the webinar, we'd love it if you could, just do our quick little survey. We love your feedback. It helps us shape the future webinars and everything that we have going on. So, and then for SharpSpring partners only, we have an upcoming Springboard live session on advanced automation with Brian Tobin, our usability manager for SharpSpring. So we'd love to see you on that as well. And then also for our partners, if you're interested in presenting, I'd ask you to email our lovely friend Nicole here at SharpSpring. And then on that note, we can jump into introductions. On the WordStream side, we have Jess Armstrong, who's the Customer Onboarding Specialist. And on the SharpSpring side, we have James Morgan, our Senior Vice President of Partnerships, and myself, I'm Lindsay Sherman, the Digital Marketing Manager. And today we're going to be covering 5 tips to optimize on both sides of the click. So some of the key takeaways are we're going to be learning about the click and creating dynamic paid search ads and linking your AdWords to a marketing automation platform, as well as how to use that platform to nurture leads down the sales funnel. And on that note, I'm going to pass it off to Jess to start.
Thanks, Lindsay, and hi everyone. My name is Jess. I work here at WordStream as a Customer Onboarding Specialist. I'm very happy to be doing this webinar with SharpSpring. I'm a huge fan of them, and I'd love to tell you a little bit about myself before jumping into content here. I've been working at WordStream for 2 years, both in the customer success team as well as our business development team, and throughout my tenure, I've onboarded thousands of small and medium businesses as well as digital agencies into our paid search marketing platform. And with the business development side, I've helped onboard our partners and incorporate digital marketing into their overall core offering using WordStream as a springboard platform. So with that said, my 2 areas of expertise really are through paid search on both Google AdWords and Bing ads, as well as social media marketing, specifically paid social media marketing in Facebook. When I'm not working at WordStream, I'm a huge traveler and foodie. I like to travel for beer wherever new breweries are popping up, and I've been a gymnast my whole life, just turned ultimate frisbee player. I like to be really active and outdoors. But that's enough about me. I am gonna just jump on over into our poll if I can. Lindsay or Nicole, if you can go ahead and launch our poll. I have a quick question for you guys, which is, what is your biggest pain point when it comes to your clients' marketing funnels? Just want to get to know you guys a little bit. Hopefully a lot of the content we've put together will be helpful with these pain points. But when you think about your customer acquisition funnel, there are so many different points within it. Is it just getting more leads into the pipeline, or really understanding what success means for each of your clients? Or is it obviously conversion tracking, implementation? All of that can be really difficult depending on the limitations of your clients. Or just following up and making sure everything is as streamlined as possible. So I'll give everyone a second to respond here. Awesome. So it looks like most of it involves getting more leads in the pipeline. About 50% of you guys. That's no surprise there. A lot of times you feel pretty comfortable setting up workflows, and you understand your main customer, but it's how do you find them in a sea of thousands, hundreds, millions of people and actually get them to choose you over your competitors. Otherwise, a good healthy distribution between the bottom three, and we're going to touch on all of these today. So hopefully you end up with a few takeaways and feeling confident. Perfect. All right, let's jump back in here. Okay, so this brings me to tip number 1. It is important to do your homework, especially as digital agencies. We can be experts in online marketing, everything that has to do with email marketing campaigns, paid search marketing campaigns, automation, and everything in between. But that does not make us experts in our clients' businesses. So it's super important to do your homework when it comes to your clients. And when it comes to getting people to click, there's so many clicks that actually happen in the customer acquisition funnel. You have, the first interaction when you're first introduced to that, to your brand or to your client's business and website, or is it when they interact a second time and maybe see you in an email campaign and click on the offer that you're trying to entice them with, or is it when they see you again on social media, or is the click that you're trying to optimize for the click that actually gets them to convert, the click where they say, here's my payment information, here's my credit card, or give me a call, I'm ready for a demo. And all these clicks are really valuable when it comes down to it. And when it comes to your customers, they may be struggling in any point in that traditional marketing funnel. And I guess what this comes down to is that there's no one-size-fits-all marketing strategy. We think of putting a bunch of leads and sales to the top of the funnel and then taking them on a very specific journey all the way to the point of customer or repeat customer. However, there are many, when we think so linearly about our lead and customer acquisition funnel, we can neglect some really important points. Within a business, within even your client's business, if they offer multiple products and services, a lot of times there are discrepancies in the actual return on investment or the margin of profitability that each of those products actually have. You also tend to have some customers who are worth way more than other customers, and identifying what those really valuable customers look like is going to take some digging on your part. When you think about the 80-20 rule of marketing, how 20% of your customers are going to generate 80% of your revenue, how do you identify and pick out that 20% of customers, and how do you attract more of them? It's something that you might be able to find out through lots of practice, but having a good conversation with your clients is going to save you a lot of time and pain points there. Also, sales cycles are all in varying lengths. If you have clients, insurance brokers, for example, as opposed to e-commerce, they're completely different strategies and nurturing paths are going to have to be taken to really optimize for clicks, for converted clicks, and all of that. So those things you want to keep in mind as well when you're discussing these with your customers and your clients. And a lot of times you have multiple decision makers involved, especially if your clients are B2B, business to business, the first person who clicks on your website from a company isn't necessarily going to be the one who ends up buying in the end. Or, you have to give them the fuel to then sell and promote your own product to their internal decision makers, whether it's team members, their boss, whoever. And so what it comes down to really is, leads and sales funnels aren't linear. We like to think of this nice funnel where eventually, if you work hard enough, you can push everything out through the bottom, and that's not always the case. I really like to think of marketing funnels instead of as a funnel, more like a game of Plinko, where you put everything in through the top and it bounces around. They interact with you at multiple different points, and you hope that you've structured your marketing strategy in a way that it guides them into the section that says converted customer, as opposed to non-converted lead or website traffic that has bounced. So I know this tip it sounds pretty intuitive to you guys. I promise the other two tips that I will go over today are much more actionable, but I would highly recommend that if you don't already have this as a practice, you set aside an hour once a quarter, and especially when you acquire a new client, to really talk to them on the phone only about them before you propose any digital marketing strategy at all. Understand what historical trends they've faced. Understand if there are aspects of digital marketing they've maybe tried in the past and didn't work, and figure out why they didn't work. Is it because SEO isn't really a viable strategy for them, or is it because they completely botched it when they actually went to implement it? Understand the KPIs that you're going to be judged and held to as you implement your marketing strategies, and understand what competitors are doing. Is it a highly competitive space? Where are the other businesses in that field seeing success? What are their main obstacles? What gives them a competitive advantage against other businesses that do the same thing? And that will help you identify missed opportunities. I think that's your in, is understanding where those gaps in that funnel are, what you can do to help grow that funnel and make it a little more slick. And then, of course, you always want to be in the know in terms of their goals for the future. What are they being held to? What are they being held accountable for? And if there are any organizational plans, any seasonality, any promotions that are coming up, you want to know about it well in advance so that you can actually be prepared and fully leverage all of that to your advantage. So that's my spiel on doing your homework. This next tip is much more actionable, like I promised, which is you need to stand out with action-driving ad copy. For those of you who said, the hardest part is actually just gaining leads and filling the top of the funnel, this is where this comes into play. Search and social, I have a fact for you guys. Search and social account for over 50% of website referral traffic to websites, which means essentially it's actually around 60%, 30% for Google and 30% for Facebook and other social networks. So between those two things, it becomes incredibly important to actually stand out in those two spaces. If the majority of your traffic is coming from there, you better shine when you do show up and they do see you. And the fact of the matter is that most ads are boring. Even if you do everything right, if you're doing what everyone else is doing, you're not going to stand out, and people are going to have a hard time differentiating you from everyone else. So if you are doing paid search marketing and you're showing up on Google, I highly recommend leveraging ad extensions. One of the greatest parts about using paid search over organic search is you can tailor your message to say exactly what you want that searcher, that user to hear. Don't let Google decide. You have the voice. You can make it as compelling as possible. That being said, you don't have a lot of space to do that. You have 70 characters of text plus 25 characters of headline. I've tried to write sentences that are 35 characters long and been stuck at my computer for a half hour trying to figure out how to get it across, and that's never fun. So use extensions to acquire more space on the search engine results page. It's going to take up Not only is your ad going to look a lot larger and push the organic results further down, push your competition further down on the page, but it's essentially letting you add an extra line of text. You can get your point across in more detail. You see the call outs and snippets are basically, you can use those as 3 extra lines of text when you look at that, and, promote specials, any deals or locations that you may offer your products and services. If you're not already using this and you are doing paid search, you are behind on the times. So they're really easy to set up. They're one of the most effective ways to just turn your marketing paid search campaigns around if you're not already doing them. So I would highly recommend leveraging those extensions. You see this bottom one here, I highlighted as a loser, not using extensions. He's even smaller actually than the organic listing, which isn't very fun. So make sure you're actually using everything to your advantage. My next tip for standing out and driving action on the SERP, the search engine results page, is to use ad customizers. And there's a ton of ad customizers that are out there. You have, in this case, we have a countdown ad, but you can customize based off location, based off of your inventory. There's a bunch of options out there for you. But countdown customizers are a great way to create a sense of urgency. The idea that something that is on the table is going to be off the table later. It will help you drive action. So here's an example of an ad for Mother's Day, which just recently passed by. There's this countdown customizer that says only 4 days left. There's not some crazy marketer up late at night at midnight changing their ads every day to say 4 days left, 3 days left. That's just using an ad customizer. Google will take care of the rest for you. But it definitely is going to drive a sense of you need to take action. You need to take action right now, or this isn't going to be on the table any longer. That's great for any sort of holiday promotions, any sort of sale that has a finite deadline. The only thing I wouldn't recommend is abusing these to create fake or sense of urgency. If you have the same deal every time, you always have a free trial. Don't say there's 6 days left to get your free trial when that's never really going to change. People don't like being duped. Another great way to stand out with action-driving ad copy is to tackle objections head-on. I'm sure you know this from your own businesses, that you'll have customers and leads try to feed you a number of reasons why not to use your product or buy your services. If you talk with your customers and they say, these are the major roadblocks I'm hitting, you can actually leverage this in your ad copy. I'll show you 2 ads that I have here. I made a quick search on the search engine results page in Google. This was a Google ad for health insurance. I didn't add anything other than health insurance. I didn't say I want inexpensive health insurance. I didn't say I want easy health insurance. And these are 2 ads that showed up. The first one that showed up at the top was Aetna Health Insurance. It's a classic ad. There's definitely nothing wrong with it. But if you look at the second ad in this example, there's 3 things that I think they're doing particularly right. They're tackling on the objection that health insurance is expensive. It's not only just saying it's going to be affordable, it's giving me a real number, as low as $9 a week. The other idea is it's going to take me a long time to figure this stuff out. In those call-out extensions they have there, this is, you'll get a 2-minute quick quote. I automatically am put at ease that this isn't going to be a burdensome process. I'm much more likely to click on affordable health plans than I am Aetna health insurance. And so it's a little bit of a triple whammy there. They include real numbers, they're leveraging those call-out extensions, but the most important part is you need to be able to back it up on your landing page. And I have one more tip for standing out with ad copy, and this one pertains to Facebook. I spent a lot of time talking about search, but I think some of those are also very applicable to Facebook and other forms of marketing, email marketing as well. But with Facebook specifically, the most important thing you can do for your ads to stand out is to use quality images. Images by far and away affect whether or not someone clicks on your ad more than anything else combined, your headline, your text, the link you take them to, the action button, those all have very incremental effect compared to the image itself. So some tips for choosing an image. Work with your clients to acquire a good set of images to work with. If you have to go to stock photos, spend some time really looking into stock photos. Even ask for a budget so that you can purchase some images rather than relying on free stock photos, which can be very limited at times. These need to be high resolution. You want to avoid using a blue background because that's going to blend in with the Facebook interface. Facebook is blue and white. If you have a blue ad, it's going to get scrolled over 9 times out of 10 compared to one that's bright orange or red or green. Many studies have shown that users are way more likely to click if it has a face, and not just any face, but a smiling face drives action 6 times more likely to get a click than if it's this little snowman here. So I would definitely take that into account when creating Facebook ads and leveraging those tips to your advantage. One more fact for you guys before I go to tip number 3. Facebook just released this study in the end of last year, early this year, that proved that exposure to Facebook ads, that doesn't mean they clicked on it, but they just saw it. Exposure to Facebook ads actually will lift your search return on investment by about 6%, which basically means if someone sees your ad on their mobile devices, they are way more likely to go and click on your ad if they search something later on, or they're way likely to even search for you specifically later on for that product or service. And so especially leveraging Facebook on mobile. These two things work hand in hand. If most of your traffic is coming from one or the other, and they help grow the other, Facebook helps Google and Google helps Facebook, you want to be on both of these places and you want to stand out when you are in those places. This brings me to tip number 3. A couple more things for you before I pass it off to Lindsay. You need Obviously, once you've stood out, once you've captured their attention, you want to supplement these campaigns with additional clicks, and additional clicks with a better return on investment than that wide net casting of social media and paid search. Supplement them with cheaper clicks or just clicks that are going to have a better cost per action or acquisition. And in my opinion, one of the best ways to do this is to remarket to website visitors. And not just website visitor, there's a million ways you can remarket to website visitors. I'm not going to jump into all of them. There's AdRoll, which is a platform for remarketing to website visitors. There's also, you can do it directly through Google AdWords. But in my opinion, one of the most effective ways to market is, or to remarket is through Facebook. And it has some of the lowest cost per clicks out there. It's about 1/3 of what it would cost for a click on Google, and the match rate is pretty high. Your customers are on Facebook, guaranteed. Not 100% match rate, but even if you're business to business, you can see a 50 to 70% match rate from website visitors to Facebook. So you can reach to them there, and when you do, it's going to cost you much less than advertising to them on search. Another great way you can remarket is using RLSAs, remarketing lists for search ads. If someone does search for you for your product or service and then clicks on your website and then comes back and continues that search process, they're already familiar with you, with your brand, what you have to offer. They've been to your website. You probably will know they've been to specific pages on those websites, and that's where remarketing lists for search ads can be really powerful, and I think they're a little underutilized, to be honest. You can essentially bid up for that returning traffic so that you are top of page when they when they click. You know they're further down the funnel, you know they're familiar with you, and you can tailor your message specifically to wherever they are in that funnel. You don't have to introduce yourself anymore. They're aware of who you are. You don't have to say, this is my product, right? Instead, you can focus on some more compelling key points and offerings. Rather than say, hi, we're WordStream and we do digital marketing, I can say, it's time to take action. It's time to start a trial. You're ready to do this. Let's go. Um, and there are a bunch of other ways where you can supplement your campaigns. I think this is where I'm going to pass this off to Lindsay, as I know she has a lot to add to this. And thank you guys for your time and for listening to me talk for the last 20 minutes. And I look forward to all of your questions.
Thanks, Jess. So yeah, just a quick note while we're on the topic of remarketing, kind of a bonus tip, if you will. With a marketing automation platform, you can actually take customer lists that are segmented by different things like your lead demographics or attributes of the lead or specific actions they're taking on your site and export those lists and then upload them to, all of the platforms that Jess just mentioned, like Facebook or Adwords, or a platform like AdRoll that specializes in remarketing. So you can actually advertise to that list with custom messaging based on their segment. So that's just one handy, additional tip for you related to marketing automation. So, as I mentioned, I'm the digital marketer for SharpSpring. In this role, I'm responsible for making sure that our marketing tactics are generating leads and that they're ROI positive. We're constantly testing new platforms, so keeping track of performance can be a big undertaking for us. I came from an agency background, but I hadn't used marketing automation before I joined the team here. So I spent a lot of time in Excel creating our weekly and monthly reports for clients. Pivot tables and VLOOKUPs were basically my best friends. I spent probably about a minimum of a week a month working on those reports, but usually it took longer just to make them pretty and client facing and everything like that. So spent a lot of time in Excel, and I'm here to tell you that there's a better way to excel at your job. Couldn't resist that pun, sorry guys. And also couldn't resist this Ryan Gosling meme. It's one of the limited Excel spreadsheet memes available that wasn't completely inappropriate or completely lame, so hope you enjoy. So this is where marketing automation really comes in and can help you build these reports and, basically save time with your clients. So tip number 4 is to link your Google AdWords with your marketing automation platform. And just for those of you that don't know, James Morgan will get into this in a little bit more detail, but marketing automation is a suite of tools used to segment and nurture prospects with highly personalized, useful content that helps convert leads into customers. So that's kind of the textbook definition of it, but it's basically like combining your CRM and email marketing suite with a bunch of other super useful tools that you can use to reach out to your leads on a near one-on-one basis, really easily and effectively. So the key benefits for linking your marketing automation and your Google AdWords account include saving time building reports for each of your clients, quickly being able to tell where you have opportunities to optimize, whether at a keyword or campaign level, improving your ROI by narrowing in on the campaigns and keywords that are making a difference, and being able to see your PPC strategy and how it works with the entirety of your marketing efforts. And this is for both online and offline, which I think is extremely valuable. So kind of getting into it, with marketing automation, you have easy access to actionable data. It makes pulling reports easy. You've got customizable dashboard views to where you can see everything that you need to see. So basically, coming from the agency background, I know agencies can save hours upon hours of their time by having everything in one platform versus cobbling together different reports to get the full picture of their marketing for their clients and even for themselves. You can build custom dashboards with the important tactics for each of your clients. So if you have a client randomly call you and ask you how such and such campaign is performing, you can see how many forms were filled out, what kind of information, how many leads are generated, basically all of that. And you can easily export a PDF of that report to include in like a quarterly sales report or a weekly status update. And it's already pretty and client facing, which is a bonus for everyone. So one of the most valuable reports that I use to determine how my paid search efforts are working is through our integration with Adwords. And this is an example of that report from SharpSpring. As you can see, it shows the keyword and ad group as well as some valuable metrics. And you can even drill down to see which leads came in through those keywords if you click on the leads tab, or if you click on the leads number, it will pop up with specifically which people came in for each keyword. So that's extremely helpful. You can sort by metrics that are important to you and your clients. And I do this and I can quickly see which of my keywords are generating leads, which keywords I'm spending a lot of money on that aren't generating leads, and where my sales are coming from. So basically I can see at a really quick overview, just by some sorting and filtering, which keywords are converting, and I can stop paying for clicks that aren't. So this ability allows you to optimize your clients' accounts pretty much really easily. I mean, it's easy just to sort and see what's working for each of your clients. So one thing that I like to do is sort by cost, and then I look to see if there's a specific keyword that has a high cost but a low ROI, or the opposite, like in this case. You can also sort by sales value to see which keywords are generating the highest ROI and move more budget to those. So it's kind of a win-win, quick optimizations. Unfortunately, right now we don't have integration with AdWords and SharpSpring to where you can do those optimizations through SharpSpring interface. But one thing that I've found really easy to do is just have two screens up and kind of pull my AdWords editor on one screen and my SharpSpring keyword report on the other, and just quickly do optimizations that way. It's actually extremely easy. So another quick tip is to take a snapshot of performance month over month to get a broader overview. Sometimes marketers get so involved in the day-to-day optimizations that they forget the big picture of what they're doing. So if you're constantly seeing leads coming in from a channel, you may miss that none of them are converting to a sale if you aren't taking a step back. And this is where it's important to, take the step back and see what's going on with your clients and your leads. For example, like if you have a client with a long sales cycle every month, you might constantly see a keyword with a number of working opportunities in that working ops column. But if those opportunities never convert to a sale, you should probably move your budget to other keywords. So I've spent some time talking about the AdWords integration from the optimization side, but another important benefit is the ability to see your campaigns and how they're interacting with each other. We all know that it usually takes multiple touch points for a lead to convert to a sale. So for this instance, an example, the lead first came in through an AdWords ad and filled out a form to subscribe to our blog. Then they received an email with our latest blog post, which they opened and clicked on and maybe thought it was interesting, but they weren't quite ready to buy into SharpSpring yet. So since we're using the handy remarketing tactic that Jess mentioned earlier, this lead is checking out all of their friends' babies on Facebook and sees an ad for SharpSpring, so they click through to the site. At this point, we've identified them as a hot lead, so we use the age-old marketing tactic of sending them a coupon to hopefully push them over the edge to try and get them to convert to a demo. So that was just one lead's journey, but with marketing automation, you have the ability to see every single interaction your lead has with your client's website in a single timeline. Site visits, which pages are visited, and how long they were on them, and every email, click, phone call, and form fill out are included, as well as sales data. So as you can see from that one example of the life of a lead, there's a lot of touch points that a lead might take from first site visit to the third purchase. And since you're running a lot of different marketing efforts, chances are high that the lead has been hit by a handful of them. Having an overview of the campaigns that they've interacted with helps you piece together a picture of how your tactics work together to close a sale. Like Jess mentioned earlier, it's not so much a sales funnel as it is marketing plinko. And that's where primary versus secondary campaigns come in. While some companies choose different attribution models, regardless of whether they're tracking their leads by first click or last click attribution, it doesn't always show the full picture of a lead's journey. That's where seeing a lead secondary campaign gives a better idea of the value of each of these, especially when it's harder to prove value, like social media or a direct mail piece, for example. So at SharpSpring, we use first click attribution, but one really useful thing for me is to run a list to see how many of my leads are coming through AdWords as a secondary campaign. So I can see how many people are requesting a demo that have clicked on an ad in addition to another tactic, like receiving a case of root beer or joining us for one of the events that we host in various cities. It's just a great way to prove value for tactics that may not receive the most credit, but do play a part in the overall customer journey. All right, and now that we've discussed how to optimize and improve your campaign effectiveness, I'm going to pass it over to James Morgan, who's going to dive into our next tip about driving revenues with marketing automation as the bridge between sales and marketing.
Is this better? Ah, you say we can edit this, right? Helps you take the mute button off. Can everybody hear me now? I hope so. Well, again, thank you, Lindsay. I was going into the background, sales management in a national electronics store, multiple years in that, and a side endeavor into the restaurant tour with my wife as a chef. So I do share those culinary experiences with Jess, as she said earlier, like microbrews and good food. So that's a little personal side of myself. But now that we are maximizing our marketing efforts and generating leads, at the end of the day, it's all about driving those revenues and converting the sales, right? So my tip to you is in nurturing the leads that you have, tip number 5. So not everybody coming to your site is ready to purchase now, correct? 80% are not ready to buy. So you're missing a gold mine of opportunities if you're not engaging these leads or prospects. How we do that is normally we create a drip campaign. Using segmented lists, we try to target and be very specific in our communication. However, instead of a generic message going out, a personalized or a one-on-one almost communication results in a higher lead conversion rate. How do we do this though? Well, enter marketing automation. In our email creator, okay, you can create a personalized message with content based on the interest and shows that we are listening to those prospects coming into our sites automatically. Merge variables in our email creator will personalize the message from a personalized sender and add that dynamic content automatically into the email, giving relevant information based on that lead's interest. The correspondence becomes a higher revenue conversation or trying to build a relationship. Now that we're building relationships with this personal, marketing automation lets us reach out to that right person with the right message at the right time. We're identifying that top 20% as discussed before, when they are highly engaged, and more importantly, when they're more responsive to the communication. This again leads to higher conversion rates. Now that we have a hot lead, we need to maximize our selling efforts. For example, we can send a notification to a salesperson when the lead does something of importance. Like viewing the site, such as a pricing page, or hits a certain threshold in lead scoring, identifying that top 20%, the hot leads, or a call to action button, for example. That salesperson can take all of this, what we call actionable data, site visits, interest, what they're looking at, what they're not looking at. We can then arm ourselves with that data and then customize a communication and reach out to that person with knowledge about their interest, again, leading to those higher conversion rates and showing that we are listening to them in a one-on-one conversation. But all these tactics are great for agencies. You create all these campaigns for your clients to get leads into their system and higher conversion rates. But to spend it also, these same tactics have benefits for an agency, such as people in this crowd here. Using the same tactics, having that reaching out at the right time, at the right moment, with knowledge about their interests, you create a higher value relationship, and you can become an indispensable partner for your client by giving them that turnover, but you in turn are getting that same higher conversion rate by building that indispensable relationship with your client. Also, in addition, a monthly recurring revenue. You're not creating just a one-time project such as building a site or creating an SEO campaign. You're actually having retainer-based relationships, continual communication or continual revenues streaming into your business. And at the end of the day, the same ROI campaign reporting justifications, you can go to your client in real time and justify your ROI to them. You are creating revenues for that client, and you have all those reports to show it in real time that you are adding value to their marketing efforts as well. Oh, and additional bonus tip 5.1, I kind of threw this as well as one example how you can keep that retainer-based relationship is with our daily visitor eye reports. We have this sent to all of my salespeople here at SharpSpring, but you can have this logo on top replaced with your company logo. This can be an automated email daily, monthly, weekly, however frequent you want, with your logo on their desk. So your logo is under their nose every day, giving them qualified leads that have visited the site that they can then reach out to. So stay top of mind on your clients daily. Have a communication go out to them, and then also, again, giving them the qualified or relevant leads that they can reach out to, equaling higher conversion rates and revenues. So my part was very short. Lindsay, I'll turn it back over to you.
All right, thanks, James. All right, thank you guys so much for joining. We do have another quick poll for you, and just a reminder, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat box. Like I said, we've got a couple of great ones in so far, so happy to answer them after the call, or if we don't get time, follow up afterwards. But we just want to, do a quick poll with a special offer on if you would be interested in learning more about either WordStream or SharpSpring. So if you want to just take the time to do that, that would be really appreciated. And I'll give it some time for people to go ahead and fill in. All right, thank you guys so much, and now we can just move on to, to the questions. So Jess, looks like we've got a question for you. It's hard to get clients to buy into Facebook for B2B. Do you have any data that you can share with them about this choice? And this might be one that you'll need to follow up with them afterwards on, but if you have anything just in terms of, Facebook advertising effectiveness that you can share.
Sure. Yeah, happy to answer that question. There's not a lot of data I can spill out to you off the top of my head other than, your cost per click is going to be a lot lower, and you can actually typically reach B2B customers pretty easily. But I think the best advice I can give you for pitching Facebook to B2B clients is almost talking them through what you will and won't do. For B2B, it's not about the likes, the shares, the comments. You want to target people you want to target conversions on the website. Say we're going to find them on Facebook and we're going to pull them off Facebook. We're going to take them back to your site. We're not going to focus on the Facebook marketing strategies that just drive engagement. I think that's a big selling point. If you say, you know, we're focusing on what works, we're going to focus on the audiences that work, which means we're going to focus on people who've already been to your website. We're going to focus on people with similar characteristics of people who've been to your website. Those are called lookalike audiences. And really focus only on the stuff that has a very high cost per, or very low cost per acquisition. And, you know, we're not going to waste your time with those low engagement, wider net sort of options that Facebook makes available to marketers. I think that's kind of the most compelling offer is stay hyper-targeted, focus on only the most valuable clients to your customer, and explain to them how you're going to do that and how targeted you're going to be. And then if you can get them to just, you know, give it a shot with a pretty low budget, you can see pretty great results with just a starting budget of, you know, $250 to $500 just to prove it out, because Facebook is so cheap at this point. You can get a lot of bang for your buck and then reassess.
All right, thanks, Jess. So looks like we have another question that could potentially be for you. Are there countdown customizers to include in emails in addition to ads? I'm not sure if you know this or if that's something we want to jump in on with the SharpSpring side.
Yeah, if you do know anything about that, you feel free to jump in. As far as I know, it's not very easy to get any dynamic text in emails, but feel free to jump in there.
So yeah, I wasn't sure if you knew. So for SharpSpring, we don't have anything that's kind of a one-to-one thing like that, but we do have the ability to insert dynamic ad copy, or not dynamic ad copy, sorry, dynamic email copy into emails, and that can be based on custom variables and those kind of assets. So with that, you can create kind of one email and then have sort of a custom merge variable inserted into the email, so you don't have to do quite as many versions for different things. That's probably the closest thing that we have to, you know, a countdown customizer. Comes in a lot of handy whenever you have a ton of emails to write, but fairly similar content, maybe just one or two things that need to be changed. Like you have multiple car dealership clients, for example, and you just need to change out the names, but all of the offers are the same. So that's kind of my answer for that. Happy to loop in our usability person to further answer that question after the webinar. So Jess, this one looks like it's for you. Is there a way to measure conversions that happen offline?
Ooh, that's a tough question. Yes and no. There's always some sort of blind spot when conversions happen online. There's a bunch of things you can try to do to get a guesstimate of that, whether it's, you know, asking clients, how did you hear about us? But there are some solutions in terms of phone calls, for example, that happen on your website. Then, of course, they're leaving the online space to talk to you over the phone and understand where those calls come from. If you use a call tracking solution, generally you can tell what type of traffic that came from, whether it was SEO or paid search or some other referral traffic. And WordStream actually does offer a keyword level call tracking solution, which would allow you to insert some code on your website that creates a dynamic phone number that can then, if they reach your website and decide to call you, by dialing that dynamic phone number, it will forward to your business, but we will then be able to tell and backtrack down to the keyword level which actual keyword led to that phone call, and then record it, and you can mark it as a conversion or as a non-conversion, which then can help you measure your return on investment for anything that's going to be lead gen, especially like service-based, and that's going to typically result in a phone call as opposed to an online inquiry.
Yes, and to expound upon that, Jess, also in SharpSpring, we do have call tracking built in already, so you do have that capability to have that phone call attribute to the campaigning. But also in addition, an offline such as a postcard, say, or a mailer that goes into the mailbox. It may have a link that can go to a website, and all we do is create a microsite or landing page attributed to that campaign. So creating that link to drive into a certain microsite can then give that attribution to that campaign, which is a mailer, for instance. So there's other ways we can do that as well if you do still hard mail and such. But everything you've said is correct.
All right, thanks, James. And I think we have time for one more question, and then we'll, cover how to contact us afterwards. So it looks like, what kind of data gets pulled into SharpSpring from Adwords? So we have a integration with Adwords. It's basically a direct, and it's really easy. It's just as simple as putting custom tracking template on the end of your ads, and then setting up your settings in the SharpSpring side, giving permissions, and then from there, pretty much everything in your AdWords interface gets passed over to SharpSpring. The keyword, the campaign, the ad group, in addition to the clicks, impressions, and the cost. And then we add our own data that we get from the SharpSpring side with that just adds on further, like the estimated value, the opportunities that you get from those specific keywords. You can see actually the exact person that clicked on the ad from that keyword and how they converted to a lead and when. So it's actually really useful. Like I said, I hadn't been using SharpSpring before I hadn't been using marketing automation before I joined SharpSpring, and it's really eye-opening to see the level of data that you can get. Not scary, I promise. So yeah.
Absolutely, and I think the two ends of where we're coming from, the beginning, driving to leads, you have the Google AdWords, we can see where they came from. Adding the marketing automation, especially SharpSpring, we can go beyond that click and get more behavioral actions and record and then be able to react to that more specifically. So adding these two strategies together at the end of the day equals those revenues. So it's very complementary to each other.
All right, great. Well, we'd like to thank everyone for joining this webinar. If you guys are interested in continuing the conversation with any of us, all of our contact information is included on this slide. We will be sending out this slide and the recording of the webinar after this at some point within the next day or so. But yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to email any of us. I'm sure we're all happy to answer. And SharpSpring partners, once again, if you want to participate in a future webinar, just go ahead and email Nicole. And with that, I will say goodbye. Everyone have a great day.
Yeah, thanks everyone.